Well, what is going on, everybody? So, you want to be a detective? That is awesome. In this short video, I'm going to give you a few tips to make you the best detective possible. Welcome to this video. My name is Aaron. I was a police officer for 21 years. I was a detective for the last 11, assigned to major crimes, homicide, and child abuse. I have my experience. I cut my teeth on patrol, doing patrol, traffic, drugs, canine, and then finally into the detective unit where I ended my career. So, in my experience, I was a little bit different. I was the officer that probably spent, air quotes, too much time on calls. I investigated, I turned over rocks, and I got into a lot of stuff. I made a lot of successful cases as a patrol officer. You see, when I started my career, I worked in a department where if you got that initial call, there was no call too small, and you got to work that call from the start all the way to the completion. It could be a car prowl, it could be an arson, it could be a murder, it could be a sex abuse. Whatever it is, it was your job to take the initial call, follow up on leads, interview suspects, take it to court through the trial process the evidence, and finally, hopefully, get a conviction. That was how I started my career. Then I went to a department that was much larger, much busier. And when I took my no call too small attitude to a large department, there was some friction because my peers, some of them had never worked outside of that city, the larger city, the metropolitan city. So they didn't understand the no call too small concept and turning over rocks. Some of them just wanted to get past the call they were on. Some of them are A plus, some of them are D students. The A plus students, some of them really want to dig. They want to chase their dope, their guns, their shiny things. Other A plus students want to turn over every rock, investigate the shit out of everything, and find the people responsible even for the smallest crimes. Then you have the people that just show up to take their calls, make as many problems go away as possible without as little paperwork as possible. You've all worked with them. And at the end of the day, they go home. Now, the funny thing is, it took me 21 years to realize they get paid the same amount as I do. So my stress level was higher, but I guess as a professional, maybe I was more successful, in my own eyes at least. But let's talk a little bit about becoming a detective. Some people want to get hired and go right into the detective space. They see it, they think it's sexy, they see it on TV, and that's what they want to do. And I get it. I totally understand and get that idea. But here's the truth of the matter. The truth of the matter is, you don't understand how to detect. You literally couldn't detect yourself out of a dark room if you needed to. Why? Because you don't have the experience of being a patrol officer. You see, patrol is the backbone and foundation of all things detective. So, the first thing I'm going to suggest, spend time as a patrol officer. Go ahead, cut your teeth, experience the calls. That is where the fun is had. The fun is kicking in doors and pointing guns at people. The fun is rolling up on a crime in progress and having to figure out who's telling the truth and who's lying and put all the evidence together right in front of you as you make a split-second decision on what is going on and what you're looking at. And then once you have the scene calm down, slow down a little bit, process what you're looking at, confirm that what you initially thought is really what's going on. Is it a crime? Is it not a crime? If it's not a crime, move on with life. If it is a crime, congratulations. Apply the appropriate elements of the criminal offenses and book them, cite them, do what you got to do. So that is where you understand and learn how to read people, read situations. You get to see crimes in progress. You get to see people with a deer in the headlight look. People are going to lie to you. You have to decipher bullshit from the truth. And that on patrol is where you need to do that. It's an okay place to make mistakes. It's an okay place to not be 100% accurate and learn the foundational principles of reading folks. You wouldn't build a house Build your sticks, build your walls, erect it right on that dirt, and expect it to stand. You will go into that house, it'll provide shelter until there's the first storm, and that house is likely to blow over and crush you because there's no foundational basis for that house to be tied to. In patrol, that is where you'll find your foundational basis. Number 2, work the calls to completion. Meaning, when you respond to the barking dog call, it's very easy to roll up and say, unable to locate 10-8, no barking dog, problem solved, and move on to the next thing because you're chasing that next shiny thing. But consider this. What happens when that barking dog, you actually find it, and that barking dog is barking because there's a rape in progress in a car? And you roll up on that car, and all of a sudden you save somebody's life, or you keep somebody from getting sexually assaulted, or there's a drug deal in progress because the drug dealer is right outside of this dog's fenced-in yard. That is working a call to completion. Asking those one more question. Is there anything else that you think I should know? Well, yeah, there is. He's got this bag in the closet that stinks really bad, like something's decomposing, and he won't let me go into his room. I don't know what it is, but I haven't seen my neighbor in a long time. Well, holy crap, we just walked into something, right? All because you were there for identity theft. She's telling you about her roommate, and you ask one final question, and this turns into a homicide investigation. And it happens that fast. So, investigate to completion. Ask the questions. Don't be scared to get a little bit dirty and a little bit deep into these calls. Number 3, turn over the rocks. Think about it from the criminal's point of view. If the criminal is going to try to hide or be deceptive or elude you, think about it from their point of view, which you got from working patrol all those years. Think about it, turn over the rocks, investigate. Occasionally, you're going to turn over a rock and there's going to be some gold under it that will help you solve your cases. Just dig and push and dig and push. Number 2 and number 3 sound a lot alike, but working calls to completion means going the extra mile and just doing your job. Number 3, turn over those rocks, see what's under them, and when you turn over a rock and all of a sudden there's a vine, chase that vine, pull it, get all the branches until you can answer all the questions at the end of those branches. Eventually, it's going to give you some gold that is going to set you head and tails above your partner or the other people that you're playing against. Number 4, humility. I was once told that there's a fine line between confident and cocky, and I was told I was erring on the side of cocky. And this came from a person who was the cockiest guy in my department. Okay? He was the cockiest, most arrogant guy in my agency. And we've worked with those guys too, right? He ended up being a great friend. But during my first interview process as a detective, remember, I came in from that small town. I worked my cases. I've written hundreds of search warrants. I just did what I needed to do. I came with a resume that I thought was freaking awesome, and I wanted to tell everybody how good I was. Well, that's not what they were looking for. So even though you might have that in your background, telling them everything errs on the side of cocky, and nobody wants to work with somebody that's cocky. So let your actions speak for themselves once you're in the position. You can highlight that you've had some experience, but frankly, they might not care about everything that you've done. And when you try to exploit it and really talk about it, it puts you in a bad or negative light. So you don't have to tell them everything. You don't have to share every opinion that you have. Simply be humble, be kind, shed some light. You have some experience. That in itself will probably set you above the people you're competing against. Number 5, prior to getting to that interview, spend some time talking to the detectives, shadowing them, writing some search warrants, digging. Remember when you're turning over those rocks, there's going to be opportunities to write search warrants for that backpack that you recovered. Go ahead and write that search warrant, see what's in it. Maybe you'll find a gun, maybe you'll find drugs, maybe you'll find nothing, maybe you'll find a human head. Whatever it is, you're never going to know until you get into that legally. And you get into it legally by writing a search warrant. And your search warrant gives you the opportunity to talk to detectives, work alongside them, learn from them, so you can bring all of that to that interview. That is a way that while you're on patrol, you can further your chances of becoming a detective. And then, finally, bonus tip, prepare for the interview. Get good rest, look good, feel good, understand your material, ask people what the questions might be so you can prepare ahead of time, have all of your experience ready, write a resume, write a cover letter, and go in there and just absolutely kill it. So, there are your tips on becoming a detective. Hopefully these helped. If they did, please leave them in the comment. Like, subscribe, hit the bell for more things that I'll release in the future. You can check out my podcast, Murders to Music. It's on all the streaming platforms where I talk about my transition and my career as law enforcement, out of law enforcement into a completely different world. But you got to check it out. Murders to Music podcast, Instagram at Murders to Music. Follow, like, subscribe, leave the comments. If you're a detective and you've watched this, what worked for you? What are some things that I'm forgetting? Help me out, guys. Until next time, see you later.